Greetings and beyond the new, ladies and gentlemen. My name's Dermy Wormy, and it's finally over. Ironheart has finally ended, and we can all celebrate, firmly understanding that our great Iron Hero over in Chicago is 110% a frickin' villain. Now, I know there's probably people out there saying, no, they set up a bunch of plot threads, there was gonna be story, character development, all sorts of wonderful things were going to happen, and the story was gonna be fundamentally one of the greatest things Marvel ever put out there. But the reality is that this entire series is lacking in anything that you can even try to argue is a modicum of a good story and or an actual hero story. Let's pick up where we left off last week, shall we? Riri murdered a man, said that her whole entire goal was to always be iconic and the #1 individual in this entirety of the world, joined a gang and committed corporate espionage for no undiscerning reason other than money. Yeah, that's signs of a real hero right there. Well, we pick up in this batch drop sort of right where we left off, with Riri now panicking because the Hood's obviously going to be coming after her. We have Ezekiel, who's had his entire life destroyed by Riri Williams, is now going to prison because, well, his equipment was found over at the heirloom. And the entirety of episode 4 honestly is just establishing that Ezekiel is now angry with Riri. The Hood understands that Riri did a bad thing and killed off his cousin, and there's magic involved. Yeah, they have this whole little scene where they go to a magic store and magic. Oh, by the way, the person that was in charge of said magic store actually went to Carmitage, you know, where Doctor Strange from, and everybody there knows about Doctor Strange, but again, Riri doesn't want to believe in magic.
Magic is code for I don't know.
Oh, and at the very end of episode 4, magically somehow the Hood managed to get into prison in which Gary is being held, break him out, again, magically with no guards anywhere in sight, and then upgrade him to be, well, a cybernetic human being. Yeah, I'm not even joking on any of this. Like, the Hood magicked his way into a prison and then somehow got Gary out with 0 guards ever interfering and no alarms ever going off. Hi, Editing Dermy here, and I actually forgot one other part within the actual episode 4 itself. They actually have a long discussion on the fact that there is no such thing as good and evil, and that Riri is one of the greatest individuals on the face of the earth.
So do you think I'm a good person?
Good, bad, the words don't really mean anything. It's all depending on who's labeling you. I guess if you were asking me, describe you as a person, I'd say you're a smart person, and a hardworking person, a protective person, and a complex person. You're like Spock.
Spock? I always think of myself as a Uhura, but...
Please. The only thing y'all got in common is that little complexion. Hey, look, all that being said, you don't always let people in, but I think underneath all that armor is a soft heart. So with all that you are is good, really a label you need.
Yeah, that also happened. We had this whole metaphysical discussion on whether or not good and evil truly exist. But hey, back to the original video. Oh, and also in episode 4, everybody becomes very angry with Riri. Her mother is furious with her for basically getting involved with dark magic and gangs. Natalie is angry with Riri because Riri contemplated deleting her. And then Natalie's weird guy love interest person thing, I have no real idea with that one, is mad because, well, he saw Natalie. So Riri is left all alone, no suit, no Natalie, no nothing, and, well, Ezekiel, the cybernetic human being, is now after her. Now we pick up with episode 5, where Riri, after being furious and terrified all throughout the last episode, is now speaking to Magic Chick, guards down at a White Castle, and just openly and freely talking about magic and Dormammu in front of everybody. But shortly thereafter, the Hood gang shows up to kill Riri, and truthfully, they should have killed Riri. There's no way Riri would have survived this, because it starts off with the trans individual and the chick, who are actual trained fighters that come from underground fighting rings, going up against Riri, and somehow Riri manages to just survive with a nick of time, called plot armor, because she had a watch that causes a giant shield bubble that was left sitting right under them. That's actually what happened in the episode. Oh, and then Clown shows up to blow her up, and Riri technically should have killed Clown with the weapon that she used, which was a makeshift cannon of some sort. But no, Clown's perfectly alive, guys. Now Riri is running out of the White Castle and is now getting chased down by Slug in a semi-truck. By the way, said truck actually has Riri's suits in the back of it because Slug kidnapped it using a giant magnet, which was an insane scene all on its own. But Natalie, inside the suit, breaks out of Slug's magnet containment field, attaches herself to Riri. Riri does superhero pose, smashes the truck, sending it flying, and Slug runs away unscathed. Now, with Riri actually surviving said attack, she does another fight with Natalie. Natalie decides to, well, go to sleep and not interact with her anymore, just for Ezekiel to show up to kick the shit out of Riri, and then doesn't kill her and tells her to just leave Chicago. After that encounter, Riri runs home to Mommy, and Mommy, who was furious with Riri, is now, oh, I'm so sorry, Riri. You're the greatest ever. You're wonderful. You're a good person. So Mom decides to take Riri to Gary's garage to build a brand new suit and to recenter Riri and get her to confront her past. All that required was Natalie playing a video from her past about her dad and her dancing. While that's all going down over at the Hood base, they report that Riri is dead, and Clown decides to tap Slug to try to look into some autopsy records to just try to make sure that Rampage is dead, because Riri informed her that they killed Rampage. I'm busting through this episode super fast because there's nothing that happens. It's a long, drawn-out episode of building a brand new suit. And that's literally what happens after this, is we cut back over to the garage and they build a suit. Also, guy love interest person thing is now actually okay with Riri and Natalie and assists with building the suit. Cut back over to the Hood gang, where they confront Parker, or the Hood, or whatever the heck you want to call him, on the fact that he killed Rampage, or whoever the heck his name was in the entire episode, and they all walk out on him. So now it's just Rampage and Ezekiel left to actually, well, do what they want to do, and we find out the Hood's entire motivation through this entire time is, well, he had major daddy issues. His entire ploy with corporate espionage and getting this controlling stake in all these different companies was to just take his daddy's money, because his daddy didn't love him.
I had to look you in the eye and ask, what kind of father puts his son out of the house at 12?
I don't know. I didn't want you. So I thought it would be better for both of us to cut our losses and move on. Nothing personal.
Yeah. And then episode 5 ends with Riri having a new suit, the gang deciding to imbue it with magic powers, and Natalie deleting herself. How? I don't know. But that brings us to the 6th and final episode, ladies and gentlemen, where Riri has no AI. Ezekiel and the Hood are forced to team up together because, well, the Hood has Ezekiel under some mind control or vocal control of some sort, and Ezekiel is forced to do anything that the Hood tells him to do, and we figure out how the Hood got the Hood, and it was through a deal with Mephisto. Hey guys, again, editing Dermy here, and I forgot to add this part to my initial review because it was so funny and I was just also trying to get through the actual episodes itself. But during the encounter between Parker, or the Hood, or whatever the heck you want to call him, and Mephisto, they inadvertently do one of the most racist tropes I've ever seen in my entire life, where there is a black family in the restaurant that is incredibly loud, and Mephisto silences them.
I know how much that upsets you. And makes me very, very sad, too.
I'm sorry, Rose. Anyway, this shit about me fulfilling my potential. I mean, how would I even...
Gotta love it when the so-called super progressive side does some of the most racist stereotypes of all time. But hey, back to the review. Yeah, they're not even subtle with it. It was Mephisto the entire time. He saw interesting things within Parker, gave him the Hood, and said, I'll give you all your wishes. It's just a little bit in return. Riri now takes her a brand new Power Ranger suit and decides to go take on the Hood, even though she doesn't know where the Hood is, doesn't know if the Hood gang is entirely there, and is just ready to go take him on because reasons. So Riri finds where the Hood is. It's the hangout the entire time. And instead of utilizing her suit, which can break through entire walls, walks through the front door and begins fighting with Ezekiel. I'm just gonna skip past this whole Ezekiel fight because Riri immediately finds out that Ezekiel is under some sort of voice control. Ezekiel's very eager to fight Riri at the very beginning, but once Riri informs him that she can actually fix him and fix the whole voice control stuff, he just plays along, and it ends with Riri literally kicking him in the junk.
You think you can help me? How?
I'm gonna knee you in the groin.
What?
I'm sorry, but I assume there's no bionics there. Your body's gonna respond in crisis mode.
And shut down enough for you to manually override via the processor beneath the node of my neck. That's smart.
Yep. Clean blow. That's some good hitting.
While that whole fight's going on, though, we have Parker actually having this massive conversation with Mephisto, which ultimately boils down to Mephisto will give Parker just a little bit more power if he can hold on to the hood. Oh, and Mephisto also has eyes on another individual that would replace him. Just gonna spoil it right now. It's Riri. So we come to the final confrontation where Riri is now going to battle the Hood. Why? I still don't have any actual idea, but we're here. And it's a really awkward and unsettling fight to watch as Parker or the Hood or whatever the heck you want to call him. Again, I'm not really going to judge anybody here for not knowing anybody's names. Becomes all demonic creature mode, super strength, invulnerability, all with a blink of an eye, and is now strong enough to take on magic infused Riri with Ironheart suit. And Riri wins by tricking him with holograms. And honestly, it doesn't make any sense because after Riri's suit was getting basically torn apart, it's now looking perfectly fine even after a massive explosion. But yes, Riri wins. She takes the hood and Parker says it hurts without it. Riri says she understands even though there's no way she could. And yeah, Riri starts walking away scot-free after ruining everybody's life who she's ever engaged with. Oh, but that's where the episode should have ended, but guess what? There's one more encounter for Riri left to do, and that's Mephisto. Now, here comes the more interesting part of this entire series, because I've already established that there's no evidence that Riri was actually ever a hero. This would be the time where Riri could potentially step up and show the world that no, she's not a narcissist. She doesn't solely think about herself the entire time and actually thinks about the ramifications of her actions and will take some accountability for said actions. Oh no, but that would be actually smart and clever writing. The episode actually ends with Riri taking a deal with Mephisto and reviving Natalie from the dead. Not AI Natalie, real life Natalie. So all in all with this entire series, what we learned is that Riri is a full-fledged, narcissistic, evil human being that will even make deals with the devil to get whatever the heck she wants. There's no heroic element about her, and she solely exists to legitimately ruin everybody else's life. Because think of it, from the start of the very first episode, all we see is Riri saying she wants to be the greatest ever and requiring money. We then continue through the first 3 episodes and we see her destroy Ezekiel's life, honestly destroy the Hood Gang's life by actually killing a man, and then destroy Parker's entire dream. Even if Parker's dream was a villain's dream, she still destroyed it. So what was the heroic element throughout any of this stuff? I mean, for crying out loud, she literally killed a man. The show tried to say it was in self-defense. There was plenty of time for her to actually save that dude. So what ounce of actual heroism was done in this entire show? Nothing. It literally ends with Riri being rewarded with everything she ever wanted and desired, faced zero actual accountability for any of her actions, and even is given back Natalie from the dead. But hey, this is Ironheart, the chick that's 100% going to take Tony's mantle. But I'm gonna leave it there, guys. Let me get your guys' thoughts on all this down in the comments below. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, shout out friends, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell for every time I put out a new video, and go live, guys. And I'll see you guys all on the next one. Bye for now.